As I said from my intro, those of you who have had the benefit to watch it, tonight we are looking at family law. Family law is a special area of the law. And in UK, most times people get a lot busy with family issues. So tonight I'm going to treat a particular topic. This topic is quite controversial, but I'm going to take my time to explain to viewers its benefits as a magnetic force for your marriage. So I'll be looking at marriage and some aspects of divorce, and looking in between like a sandwich, putting the butter in between the bread, which is prenuptial agreement. That's what I'm going to look at tonight. So as I always say, if you have friends and family members who may find themselves in some disputes, or people who are intending to enter into long-term relationship, tonight is an opportunity for them to get this free legal advice under the family law, proudly sponsored by CITI Law Solicitors. And the topic for tonight is, can I ask my future wife or husband to sign prenuptial agreement? Quite controversial. Sometimes it can be quite upsetting, even proposing it to the other party. But due to the prevailing circumstances, how relationships are breaking down just after they have been entered into, this might be a solution to the numerous problems that most marriages are suffering from. So tonight, you are privileged to have me, Thomas Beber from CITI Law Solicitors, to give you this free legal advice, something that is well seasoned, so that that relationship can stabilize. And for those of you who do even want to enter into a relationship because of one reason or the other, this is also an opportunity for you to understand some of your legal rights by protecting certain assets inherited from families or reserved, ring fence for previous relationships. This is what I'm going to do tonight. So please, don't go away. I'm just going to go on a short commercial break for viewers to get themselves ready. And when I come back, as I do always, I'll be here to give you this free legal advice. This is your opportunity to understand the law. It's an opportunity for you to get free legal advice. This is about you. This is where you get everything free of charge. So please don't go away. When I come back, I'm going to take my time to explain this aspect of the family law and how one can stabilize their relationship by looking at prenuptial agreement. Don't go away. everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. As I said, tonight I'm looking at a very unique topic under the family law. I'm looking at pre-nuptial agreement. So I'm going to look at this in terms of its definition, what people should take into account for it to be valid, and whether or not it has legal force in law, and how it can help to stabilize relationship. That's what I'm going to do tonight. Now, I'm sure that there was a day a friend of mine who is a family lawyer made a comment, and it was quite sad, and he said that when it comes under the family law, divorce is so common. It's just like the air that we breathe, that everywhere you pass, you find it. And it is something that sometimes becomes inevitable in most relationships. Tonight, I have a remedy. I have an antidote to some of these problems. And by the time I finish discussing this topic, I'm sure that even as much controversial that people view me detect or my show, I'm going to be able to persuade you watching me tonight that this pre-nuptial agreement is a magnetic force that can sometimes stabilize relationship, bring fairness to the relationship, and in fact, it is something that if it's well prepared and entered into validly, it can have a force in law. That's what I'm going to do tonight. And for those of you who want to understand it, this comes under the family law. Yes. So my topic for tonight is that, can I ask my future husband or my future husband, wife to sign pre-nuptial agreement? So the starting point is that, what is a pre-nuptial agreement? Now, normally when you go to countries such as America, their law has accepted it and it's valid and it's recognized over there. But in the United Kingdom, I must start with by saying that pre-nuptial agreement have no force in law. But judges sometimes take it into account. So I want to give these warnings before people simply conclude that I'm trying to create a new law. I am not. So this is normally an agreement that people enter into. That's what they call it, pre. The word English pre is normally that something can before the act. The pre-nuptial agreement is normally an arrangement or agreement that parties enter into before the actual wedding or the marriage. And normally, when they enter into it and they fulfill all the legal requirements, then the court is obliged to take it into account when relationship breaks down, which is very common, honestly. But of course, I'm going to look at this in stages by looking at what factors people should need to take into account for it to be valid, and how it can assist in stabilizing relationship, how it can really influence inherited assets, and also how it can even be so beneficial to the parties who are entering into this relationship. So normally, when these parties are entering into relationship, and they want to consider pre-nuptial agreement, then sometimes if people don't approach it quite properly, then sometimes it can be very upsetting. It could even set the relationship off the ground by parties mistrusting each other. So normally people have to be quite frank and honest about it and approach the parties knowing very well that it's very sensitive for sections to be discussed before the relationships are formed. But in order for prenuptial agreement to be valid, there are certain factors that need to be fulfilled. Because normally these are agreements that are entered into to protect assets of the parties. And you find out that most celebrities and rich people, normally when they are entering into a relationship, they tend to do that. And it's also very common for people who have entered into relationship before, or what they call divorcees, and have had children in previous relationship, and sometimes want to reserve some of those assets for the children in the previous relationship. And also sometimes if there is an inherited asset that belongs to the family, they sometimes want to protect it because this sometimes can affect it. So what do you do to ensure that this is valid? The first thing is that this is something that needs to be open, and they have to be what they call full and frank disclosure of all assets. So any assets that is going to be protected in the event of divorce, then parties need to have disclosed all these assets by exhibiting it in the agreement. Again, the parties entering into this agreement needs to understand and appreciate what they are entering into, which means that they must seek separate legal advice on the contents of the agreement. So it means that each and every party who is intending to enter into this agreement before they enter into their marriage need to seek proper legal advice on the contents of the disclosure and whatever the agreement that they have agreed to form before they are actually ready. So one is the disclosure. The second point is seeking independent legal advice on the content of that agreement. And the third point is that this needs to be signed 28 days or more before the actual wedding. So that's why they call it prenuptial agreement. So you need to have observed these three factors. First, full and frank disclosure. Second, you need to seek independent legal advice. And third, you need to enter into this agreement 28 days or more before the actual marriage or the wedding. And they need to be signed and witnessed. That's the fourth point. So you need to have these four factors observed within the confines of that agreement in order for it to be valid. So why would somebody so much in love with a man or woman want to enter into prenuptial agreement? Because the marriage has a force in the biblical background, which is what Jesus will say that if you enter into marriage is like being in the church where all kinds of things go on in there, and you need to have the heart of forgiveness in order to sustain a relationship such as marriage. Because I was reading the statistics in UK, to be precise, most relationships by the 10th year marriage, by the 10th year or the 11th year, marriages tend to collapse. Most of them enter into what they call divorce. They just file for divorce. And sadly, it is always the woman. About 75% of that statistics is the woman who file for it. What are their reasons? Their reasons are that most times they are unhappy that the man might not clean the washroom. They don't listen to them properly. They don't engage them. In short, they get fed up with everything. And sometimes, with respect, there is no sensible reason. It's just that parties are fed up. But the second point that normally causes this divorce is the fact that we have male chauvinism. And now we have the counterpart of feminism. So you realize that in the olden days, especially in Great Britain, you find out that women will stay at the house and the men will be the breadwinners. And therefore they come to the house, and that is the culture that has been cultivated across all the colonized states. So you find out that the men have this male chauvinism to exercise the powers in the home. But these days, they are being defeated by feminism. And therefore, there is this pulling factor, and that falls always in the home. And this is what is causing most of this divorce. But the fact is that sometimes it is also out of the fact that people, by some reason, feel that they are better off going their separate ways than staying with somebody that they are fed up with. They don't like that person anymore. There is nothing so attractive about them anymore. And therefore, they look at the matrimonial assets and they feel that if I can have 50% or 70% and be on my own, why do I have to cope with such a person that I have no attraction for anymore? So you see, this is why pre-nuptial agreement is so important. Because it's an agreement that will bring, it serves as a magnetic force to bring the parties together. Why? Because before one begins to imagine how better off they will be by being on their own, if the parties made a full disclosure and entered into pre-nuptial agreement before they form their relationship, then the fact is that the parties are aware of what they stand for if they were to go for their separate ways. So in most cases, you find out that in finance, we learn what we call adverse selection, where you select somebody wrongly, thinking that he's who he is and he's not. So by discussing this pre-nuptial agreement, you only find out that only parties that have genuine intention to enter into long-term relationship that will be willing to assign such agreements. So you see, I'm providing solution gradually to divorce matters. So you find out that this becomes a magnetic force because the party that will be upset not discussing pre-nuptial agreement is the one that when he gets fed up, he will just run off with the assets thinking that he's better off without you. And don't get me wrong, this happens to both females and males, men and women, because we have had a chance where women have brought people all the way from Africa, and then they get here and they feel that they are better off with those women who brought them here. And then they run off. And we have men who have also entered in a relationship, and the women that they have brought feels that they are better off without them, and they also run off by keeping the family home and making them homeless. So here, this is a very controversial topic, but I'm here to provide a solution to most of these sensitive problems. And I'm sure that it's something that most of you will be wondering, why is lawyer discussing something like this? There are other things that you could have discussed tonight. And of course, people are sometimes terrified by discussing divorce and all these other matters because they feel that it's unbiblical. But the point is that it's so common, just like the air we breathe, you find it everywhere. So I'm gradually making my points, and I'm trying to get to the point where I'm not going to be so long here tonight because of the fact that this is quite a sensitive topic. But obviously, by the time I finish, I'm going to give viewers the opportunity to ask questions and make contributions. So I have used the word adverse selection, which is where you mistakenly select somebody to be a spouse or a partner, and in fact sometimes tricked into it because obviously you may not know his or her intentions. So by putting in place this pre-nuptial agreement, it's only those parties that have genuine intention of forming a relationship and being in it permanently are the ones that will end up want to sign this. Those ones who have some other intention will get upset, and then you have to let them go. So this is something that can in fact stabilize relationship. But let's look at it this way. The pitfall is that I don't want you to think that prenuptial agreement is a panacea to all the problems that is associated with divorce or breakdown of relationship, because it's not. And by explaining this word, what I'm saying is that it is not something that in fact can solve all the problems. The reason being that in the United Kingdom, unlike the United States of America, prenuptial agreement have no force in law, even though it is a magnetic force that can sometimes help to stimulate the dispute between the parties. However, if, for example, one entered into prenuptial agreement and they entered into a relationship, they had babies, children has grown up, then it means that whenever the court is looking at breakdown relationship and the division of the matrimonial assets, most times they will look at what they call need. So it means that no matter how one has sought independent advice and validly entered into the prenuptial agreement 28 days before the wedding or the actual marriage, which makes it valid, the court can sometimes tear it apart and apply the Matrimonial Causes Act 1973. So you find out that sometimes you may have this prenuptial agreement, but the court will feel that, look, if this woman has been with you all these years, you have children, and they want to protect or reinvest all these assets, what happened to the children of the second relationship of this woman, or who have sometimes stayed at home to look after them? So it means that at this point, the court will be looking at what they call the need factor, which makes this prenuptial agreement invalid. So you find out that it is not something that is so scary, but it's something that can sometimes protect a relationship. Now, the point is that what is the benefit of entering into such an agreement, which is quite controversial, in most cases can upset the other party if he falls into the category of an adverse selection in finance? So here you realize that there are benefits. The first benefit is that sometimes one may want to enter into prenuptial agreement because he has inherited an asset. There is an inheritance, and that inheritance needs to be protected, because remember that when it comes to divorce, every asset that has even been inherited forms part of the matrimonial assets. And therefore, you might inherit something from your father, and the spouse, whether your husband or wife, could take it away after divorce. But more importantly, there are others who have also had previous relationships and have had children. And there was a time we had one of these cases, quite complex. The man has originally been espoused with the woman for more than 20 years. They built well together. They separated, and the second woman who came into the relationship, who is yet to be married to, have also had relationship with that man. And the point is that he has been arguing ferociously for divorce of the first wife so that he can be married, because otherwise, you guys know that in UK, if you are cohabiting, then you don't have the benefit of the Matrimonial Causes Act. So he was arguing ferociously that there should be a divorce of the first wife so that the side chick could take over. But the point here is that once he's been married to the side chick or the second partner, then it means that the other person have lost everything, especially when they have not been any will, or even if there is a will, it may become invalid, which is something that I will explain later, getting to the moribund stage of my discussion or the end of my discussion tonight. So you see that this is a relationship that would have protect some assets for the first relationship and the children in that by putting in place prenuptial agreement. Because again, it is also something that will confirm why this particular woman is arguing and fighting for marriage, because sometimes it's just for their own protection, to the exclusion of the children in the previous relationship who have perhaps suffered so much with the first man. So you realize that this sometimes has to protect some assets, rank in fence some of the assets for the first relationship and the case involving that relationship. But that notwithstanding, whether or not you enter into prenuptial agreement or not, whenever you enter into marriage, then any will that you have becomes also invalid. So it means that one also have to look at redrafting their will again, because the previous will has been superseded by the second marriage. But this is an agreement that I've already explained will help to reinforce or protect inherited assets, and also at the same time reinforce or protect some assets for the previous relationship, and also a way to test whether that party who wants to enter into that relationship has a genuine intention of forming a long-term relationship, or just for coming to the relationship and eventually distributing the assets or dissipating the assets. And the fact is that we had relationships that once a property is acquired, especially, it's like a demon. Within 2-3 years, each party is asking for divorce. But sometimes when you take your time and explain to them, they even want to go back, because they find out that that matrimonial asset, when they feel that they are better off by divorcing, doesn't even have the value that we even make them much wealthy if they were to go. So you see, this is the fourth point why I put in place prenuptial agreement, where there is a disclosure, full and frank disclosure of assets, then it can stabilize the relationship. There is a case one of my colleagues is dealing with, where the party feels that the other party has so much inherited assets, but of course there was nothing there. So you see, this misconception obviously is tearing apart the relationship, because that party feels that by divorcing he's better off because he's going to get some contribution of the inherited asset, when in fact there is no asset which has been inherited. So if there was prenuptial agreement, then of course that full and frank disclosure would have disclosed every asset, and both parties would have been aware that you are better off staying in the relationship than erroneously thinking that by going a separate way and divorcing, you'll be able to pull some assets along and be better off without that person. At this point, I'm going to take my time to acknowledge viewers, and eventually I'll give a summary of what I'm doing tonight. As I've said, it's meant to be controversial and sensitive, but it's meant to provide a panacea to the numerous differences that are all over the place. And sometimes when you listen to people, you cannot even find any genuine reason why they want to go their separate way. But as I've said, not until I decided to treat this sensitive topic and decided to read around, I found out that in most cases, there is no genuine reason for people to divorce, except that they are fed up. They don't want to see his face in the house. And most times, they will be pushing to remove either the wife or the man from that house. That's all they are looking forward to, nothing else, without thinking of sometimes of the best interest of the children in this relationship. Prenuptial agreement will be able to protect the assets, which has become a pulling factor to separate parties who erroneously thinking that they are far better off being out of the relationship than being in it. And also as a protection that whoever has no genuine intention of entering into a relationship permanently will be upset, and he will make way for the genuine one who is willing to sign that agreement. So tonight I'm just going to acknowledge those of you who are on the platform. I have Augustine PSR, he's watching from Ilibo lawyer. Wow, greetings to all the people of Ilibo, my hometown. I have Obed Ador, who is also watching here. I have Tina Tamaku. Tina Tamaku, welcome. Thank God for everything. I have Ernestina Kakari, he's a God bless you lawyer. I have Ernestina Yeboah, I'm watching you live from Ghana. Wow, Ernestina Yeboah, thank you so much for watching all the way from Ghana. I have Nana Freeman. Nana Freeman, it's been a while. He said, good evening lawyer, I have missed a lot. I know, you've missed a lot. I have Mansa Kofi. Mr. Mansa Kofi, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I have Ernestina Kari, who is also always here. God bless you. I have Augustine Pesat, I think I've already acknowledged you. Tina. Jonathan Lai, wow. Jonathan Lai is one of us, he's a training solicitor who also works with us. Jonathan, thank you for so much for joining tonight. Make sure you share the videos with your friends. I have Fred Asare. Fred Asare, thank you so much. You're also a regular participant who has been joining us even now and then. I have Evans Apia watching. I have Shilotam user Oguagu. If I pronounce your name wrongly, please pardon me. I have Aditola Omo Wenhin, who is also watching tonight. I have Yao Owusu. Yao Owusu, thank you too much for joining us tonight. I have Francine Aqua. Francine Aqua, thank you for also joining us tonight. Abdul Aziz, Salam Alaikum. Thank you for also joining us tonight. I have Esther Dako, thank you. Gabriel Bankwari, regular participant, who is also watching tonight. Ifanye Obodo, Ifanye Galo. I have Nchopa, who is also watching tonight. Guys, it's been amazing to have you on this wonderful show. I know that this particular topic is quite sensitive, controversial, but I know that it's a panacea to a problem, numerous problems. Because from experience, sometimes when you're listening to parties who want to end their relationship, and then you wonder why they want to end their relationship, but because there is no genuine cause for the breakdown of the relationship. But what sometimes becomes a pulling factor is the fact that sometimes parties think that they are better off if they can get a fair share of that matrimonial assets and go their separate ways. Then of course they will be able to live a better life. So you see, that has become the major problem of breakdown of most of the relationship. It's like looking at the prodigal son who this is quite controversial. Is looking at the prodigal son who said if the father could give him his share and go out there and have fun, then you'll be better off than waiting for the father to die in order to get the inheritance. This is a biblical concept. So you find out that when you that prodigal son took whatever it is, he went out there and wasted it. This is how most relationships are breaking down. Because sometimes you find that one of the parties have no interest whatsoever, have the best interest of the children. But one of them might think that he's better off with all these accumulated assets. Therefore, it's better to push the other person away and go the separate way and bring the relationship to an early end. I am advising tonight that you guys may have to be looking at pre-nuptial agreement. It has no legal binding in law, but sometimes it's there to reinforce asset for previous relationship, and also a way to also protect inherited assets, and a way to also protect and stabilize relationship where parties are in full knowledge of all the assets that have been acquired by both parties, and the fact that they may not stand to benefit if they were to go to their separate ways. So they are better off remaining in that relationship than erroneously thinking that they are better off with it, because sometimes some of them think that, oh, when we sometimes start these divorce cases, we get to what they call the disclosure stage, exchange of documents. And sometimes people in their head think that this person has so much savings somewhere, so much asset somewhere. And by the time they do that disclosure, they find out that there is nothing there. And they get to a point of no return. This is why sometimes parties may have to look at pre-nuptial agreement. And as controversial and sensitive as it is part of the family law that in most cases can help to protect most of these marriages because of the intentions of the parties who sometimes enter into them, and the fact that we have this fight between male chauvinism and feminism. And as I've said earlier, where obviously the male may feel that he is the head of the family, and this day we have this feminism that they feel that whatever it is, they should also have equal powers in the house or in the home. And sometimes it leads to a lot of infighting in the home, and eventually they get fed up of each other. And especially when they are of the view that they are better off without the other person because they stand the chance of getting a chunk of the matrimonial asset. So if you were to look at nuptial agreement, and remember, pre-nuptial agreement is an agreement that parties enter into it 28 days or more before the actual wedding or their marriage. But they have also post-nuptial agreement where parties have entered into their marriage, and sometimes they have also inherited assets and they want to reinforce it, so that the parties will not think that they can just take it and run away, and they are better off by bringing the relationship to an end without even considering the best interest of the children in the relationship. So this is a force. It's a magnetic force that can pull relationships together rather than serving as a repellent where parties repel because they feel that they are better off without each other because of the fact that they feel they stand to gain, sometimes with no actual assets there, contrary to what they thought it was. And sometimes they bring the relationship to an end and eventually find out that they are not even better off by being alone or going their separate ways. Of course, I am aware that some relationships generally end because there are a lot of domestic abuse, which has now become completely illegal, and one could be arrested and imprisoned for committing such horrible or horrendous offense. But what I'm talking about tonight is looking at this pre-nuptial agreement as a magnetic force to bring parties together rather than serving as a repellent where parties think that they can be better off by going their separate ways. So it's been a great opportunity to share this sensitive and controversial topic with you. At this point, I'm going to take a short time to advertise CITI Law Solicitors, which has brought this wonderful topic to you. Can I ask my future husband or wife to sign pre-nuptial agreement?
That is what I'll be discussing tonight. So please don't go away as I take my time to also advertise City Law Solicitors, which is the sponsor for this show. And at this point, I'm also going to open the phone line. So if anybody has questions whilst I'm advertising City Law, whether it's immigration, employment law, family law, personal injury and clinical negligence, whatever legal question that you have, if it's within my area of practice and competence and jurisdiction, I am willing to give you an answer free of charge tonight, only for tonight. So the phone lines are there. If you want to look at it, you see the phone line scrolling there. If you want to write them down, the phone lines are 0793-293-4518. 0793-293-4518. That's one of the numbers, studio numbers. We have a second studio number, which is 0744-0338-623. That's the second studio number, 0744-033-8623. So if you want to phone in to make a contribution or to ask any legal question, this is your chance to get free legal advice. When I have left here in this studio, or if you have mixed any of this program that I've had tonight, or if you find it quite exciting and insightful, please remember that this program stays both on City Law Solicitors YouTube and Facebook channel and City Media TV, because it's recorded and stored there. You can watch it again and again and again and again from all these channels. I like MC Chaka because every time he says that every advice given on this platform is for guidance only, and one cannot rely on it to the full extent for pursuing any claim. But however, if you need a lawyer to advise you properly and then stamp that advice, then here are advice that you contact City Law Solicitors. City Law Solicitors, where can you find them? You can always find City Law Solicitors at Barking. If you get to the Barking station, you just have to turn right. If you come out of the station, you just turn right. You find some KFC there, you can have some chicken, and then you turn right again at the zebra crossing. You walk for literally less than 2 minutes. There's a traffic light, and then on your right hand side, you see Barking Enterprise Center. Just ask for City Law Solicitors from the receptionist, and then somebody will be there to assist you. Our office address is Unit 113 to 122 Barking Enterprise Center, 58 Cambridge Road, Barking, IG 11 8FG. That is the office address. The office telephone number is 02033550782. I know most of you have my mobile number, but please, if for whatever reason there is any urgent matter, or you want to seek any advice and you phone the mobile number and I've not been able to reach out to you, please kindly call the office number 02033550782. We are a team of solicitors. The fact that I'm the one that comes here all the time doesn't mean that I'm the only one working for the firm. We have a team of solicitors. So we work as a team, and my able colleagues are always there to also assist with numerous matters. So please don't hesitate to contact the office number if you need any legal assistance. Now, secondly, we specialize in numerous areas of law. There was a time somebody was saying, oh, I thought you guys do all immigration. No. We have specialized in civil litigation and commercial dispute. If somebody is owing you as a company and has refused to pay, we can take that person to the civil court and get your money for you. If you have opened up a business with other directors or shareholders or partners, sometimes, recently one of my clients was saying that, oh, I need you to sign a partnership agreement. I said, really? You want somebody to become a partner of your business? What sort of business are you operating? He said, company. I said, wow, you can't have a partnership agreement for a company. What sort of business do you want to do? He said, oh, we have some contract. I said, okay. In that case, I can draft subcontract agreement for you, which is distinct from partnership agreement or a shareholder. He said, yeah, that's right, because I don't want him to one day say that, oh, he owns part of my company. I said, yes. You are very wise to have come to CITI Law Solicitors for this commercial advice. So CITI Law Solicitors, if you have a business and you need advice on how to put certain measures in place as a corporate entity, a business, we are willing and able to assist you. Our commercial dispute and civil litigation department is well versed in law to assist you in any civil litigation area of the law. We also specialize in personal injury and clinical negligence. So if you ever had an accident that was never your fault, whether motor accident at the workplace, or you went to hospital for treatment, and you feel that there have been clinical negligence, we are here to assist you. The interesting part is that we do most of these cases on no win, no fee. This is what they call conditional fee agreement. So if you ever came to us with a matter, we will assess it. If the matter has a merit, don't worry. If you don't have money, we'll work very hard. And it's only when you get paid that compensation that we get just a token of that share. So, clinical negligence and civil personal injury is a very special area of law that CITI Law Solicitors is well versed in. Family law, which is what I've been discussing tonight. CITI Law Solicitors, it is not just a solicitor firm. We are family law accredited. Let me explain the distinction. You can be a solicitor, but you cannot sometimes be family law accredited. When you're family law accredited, it means that you are the peak of that practice. It means that the United Kingdom recognized the firm as a specialist family law firm. So you can come to us with all your family law matters. What I've discussed tonight was on the family law. Your divorce matters, your child arrangement order when you want to have contact with your child, domestic abuse, if you want to have non-molestation order, occupation order in place, CITI Law Solicitors, we are there to assist you with all these areas of law under the family law. Employment law, I love employment law. It's so dear to my heart. If you have been dismissed unfairly, if you have suffered discrimination at a workplace, or you are a victim of discrimination, either race, disability, pregnancy and maternity, sexual orientation, age, discrimination, or religious beliefs because of your religion, you've been subjected to an abuse at the workplace, or you've been victimized and harassed at the workplace, CITI Law Solicitors, we are here to protect you. This is a firm which is more or less like one stop. You can get all your legal matters resolved. One stop. No referrals. Immigration. Wow. I don't want to say that those of you who have employed our services to assist you with your immigration matters, you realize that we always aim to get you an outcome. Because we know our people want outcome. They are not interested in stories. Have I been successful? So that is our aim. They don't want to hear stories, and there was this problem and that problem. Is it ready for me? That's what they want to pay us for. And that's what we seek to do. That is the service we render. And as you are very aware of our motto, trust, integrity, and experience. And tenacity. We don't give up. Unless you who has brought the case to us gives up, we never gives up on you. We never give up on your immigration matter, because we have to ensure that you get that outcome. And we do that with honesty, the truth, with integrity, with trust, tenacity, and we have the experience to bring best outcome to you. That is what CITI Law Solicitors brings to you. Guys, it's been amazing to have you on this platform tonight. So for those of you who have just joined me, tonight I've been discussing the family law. I've just had the privilege to advertise CITI law areas of practice. So those of you who may have friends and family members who are going through most of these matrimonial challenges and want advice, we don't just practice immigration, we are accredited family law firm, and we'll be willing and able to give you the best advice to protect you in that relationship. So guys, it's been amazing to have you on board. I'm just going to acknowledge those who have just joined us. I have Edward Kofi Osei, my fellow Vandal. I salute you, who is also watching tonight. I have Abena Jemfa. Abena, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I have Bafo Jau. I'm very grateful for joining us tonight. Thank you. I have Christian Blackson, thank you for being part of the show tonight. It's been an amazing show. For those of you who makes it, you can watch the show when I end this program, because it's going to be there. I have the famous Julia Duval, who is also with us tonight. Thank you, Duval, for joining us. Edward Owusu. Edward, thank you for Mr. Owusu for joining us tonight. Obed Adol. Obed, thank you once again for joining us tonight. Mensa Kofi, I think I've already acknowledged you. Yes, and I think Augustine, I have already acknowledged you. So I want to end by saying that tonight I have had the privilege and opportunity to interact with viewers who are on the platform or who watch my show after I've left the studio, to look at pre-nuptial agreement. The question tonight is that, can you ask your future wife or husband to sign that agreement? What is that agreement? This is an agreement that normally are put in place. The parties agree that if they divorce, they go their separate ways. Nothing is touched. You came to meet it, you leave it there and go. This, from my experience, means that marriages will be sustained. They will last. Because most of these marriages are breaking down because people think that by divorcing, they are better off. I don't want to say the tree language, because on Thursday when we were doing the tree one, I was explaining how they say it, when you meet them, how they say it. So if you put in the pre-nuptial agreement, it protects the inherited assets, it reinforces the asset for the children from the previous relationship. And also, you'll be able to test those who have genuine love for you as a woman, as a man, and not those who are simply coming. And we had cases that we are dealing with 2 years, 3 years, they bought a house, they want to divorce. Why? If the parties have put in place pre-nuptial agreement, nobody will think of divorcing. Because sometimes when you do the assessment, they always feel that they are better off divorcing than remaining in the relationship. That is why I have advised you tonight that if you ever want to enter into this relationship, sometimes as a woman who have worked so hard to gain asset, as a man who have worked so hard to gain asset, and also to protect the interest of the children in the relationship, not to make them miserable, you are better off putting in place pre-nuptial agreement. I have forewarned that this originally is not legally binding, but the court has the discretion and the power to take into account if parties have entered into it validly explained on these 4 terms. There have been full and frank disclosure of the assets. Parties have sought independent advice on them and have appreciated the content of the agreement they are entering into. And it's also signed 28 days or more before the actual wedding or the marriage. And finally, it's been witnessed that if you come in, we are loving each other till death do us apart. If you are going a separate way, please leave this one. It's maybe inherited asset. It's maybe for the children in the future. But sometimes it doesn't work. Why? Because the court, under the Matrimonial Causes Act 1973, will look at the need factor. It means that if children have been born in the new relationship, then you cannot say you are preserving that asset only for those in the previous relationship, because those children in the new relationship need to benefit from it as well. So sometimes this pre-nuptial agreement does not work. But at least it is a magnetic force to protect a relationship. This is what I have brought to you tonight. It is so amazing to have you on board, and I'm so grateful for those of you who have joined me tonight. On Thursday, MC Chaka is going to be here, and we are going to discuss this sensitive and controversial topic in Chi. For all the viewers, I'm grateful. God bless you. God bless you.